Hey YouTube, Awesome Rider here. This is going to be my review slash thoughts on the first two episodes of Digimon Beat Break. I cover Digimon intermittently on the channel. I've tried to recover it regularly a little bit, but usually it doesn't do so well. So I like to do check-ins, though. I've covered almost every new series since I've started the channel in regards to the beginning, and then a series review. So I don't know if I'll do anything more after this until the series review, if I do keep up with it, because I kind of fell off Ghost Game. In fact, I do plan on catching up on Ghost Game sometime next month, at least starting, because I wanted to do a series review on that, as well as a series ranking for all the Digimon seasons, but I can't do that if I haven't seen Ghost Game. So anyway, let's talk about Beat Break, our latest Digimon season. I really like it a lot. First of all, I really like the style of it. You know, the general animation style has this own unique flair to it. You know, it's like neo-future type thing, a little bit of graffiti vibes, you know, with the beat stuff. You got like musical vibes too. It's just a really slick vibe that I really like. And it has its own style to itself, but also kind of feels like a midway point between what I call like the classic Digimon style of like the first 4 seasons and stuff, and then the kind of more fluid animation of like Savers and like the Tri stuff, where it feels a little bit more, I always called that traditional anime in my head because I saw like the Digimon cartoon and Pokemon as sort of similarly animated, and then you would see other animes like, I don't know, Fruits Basket. I'm only thinking of that one because it just came with that Dragon Ball GT preview, but there's animes that have that Savers style, and this feels like a midway point between that, and I just generally like the vibe of it. Like, it's a really fun world to be in, and the protagonist and the world remind me a little bit of Zexal just in the vibes, and also like his hair just feels like a Yu-Gi-Oh protagonist. But yeah, I really like the world they've set up. I think it's really interesting. The Digivice is an egg. I love the way it works, but I do kind of miss a traditional Digivice I could buy. Now, I don't know if there's a toy for that or anything. I haven't looked into toys for this at all, but I mean, I do miss just a regular device, but it is kind of funny. And it works very similar in a way to like the Savers one, I feel, where they're actually physically putting their Digisoul or their Econ or whatever it's called. Econ? Is it called Econ? Whatever it's called. They put it in there to like have the Digimon power up or Digivolve because they feed off of it. It's really weird, actually. It feels very vampiric because the enemy Digimon are trying to like devour the humans. It doesn't kill them, but it puts them in like a coma state. But then you have like our main Digimon partner, Gekomon, that he seems endearing, but right now it seems like he's just using our main protagonist as like food, and that's a very interesting dynamic, and I think that's a really interesting way to come about it, as the Digimon seem to be born from these devices that are basically like futuristic iPhones that are just eggs, and when they put enough Econ in it or whatever in a specific way, a Digimon is sometimes born, and you have these like agents that hunt down the rogue Digimon, which yet again also reminding me of Savers, just in terms of that sort of feel of it. Like, it reminds me of a lot of things. Zexal and the aesthetics reminds me of Savers Data Squad. Also, just because of like this team dynamic and them living together, just a little bit of that reminds me of like the Horizons dynamic, where you have like the captain and then like the crew. It's not the same, but just I couldn't help but think of those vibes. But I like that it does have those elements that remind me of things, but it feels wholly unique in a way. I'll be really curious to see how the mythology evolves. Like, in this world, are Digimon truly just born of this, or are they having a digital world like in most other series, and this just somehow summons them via connection? I think that's really interesting. I also really like how this series started off like hitting the ground running. Like, usually you ease into things, ease out the Digivolution and the fight, but we start off right off with a fight. Kind of reminded me in a way, Adventure 2020 kind of did that thing, because you had them fast-tracking everything, I think in part because, you know, everyone was so familiar with the characters already, and so you immediately like, yeah, Greymon, of course, Garurumon, Omnimon, but also to show that, hey, there's going to be differences here. But just in general, it felt a little bit different, and I think it got you used to what the series will be like before we more so slowly introduce our main character and like what his deal is with his brother, and there's also clearly something being hidden there about something special about our main character, you know, specialist boy energy. There's probably something special to his energy, and I like that, though. I like that we got a feel for like, hey, this is these cool like agent characters doing this fight, and this is what it's going to be like in the main series, and kind of just dipping you right into the action. I also really like the designs of the Digimon. Like Gekomon at first, when I saw the first images, I wasn't a huge fan, but it's really grown on me because it kind of fits in the series style. Although I have to say, until they stopped dubbing them, at least on time, I'm primarily a dub guy with Digimon, and I hate how it seems like almost all the main character Digimon have the same voice. I cannot stand that. Why do they all sound like that? Anyway, I really like Wolvermon, although like the evolution confuses me. Like, Wolvermon's pre-stage looks like a cat, unless it's meant to be also a wolf that is like cat-like. I don't know, but there are some Digimon that if I recall, digivolve into different animals. I also really like, I can't remember the name of it, but the little bat guy that kind of looks like Demi-Devimon if he was wearing a cloak. I really like that. But I really like the designs of the series so far. They're really slick. I'm eager to see the Digivolutions. I haven't looked up too much, I don't know, spoilers from any other trailers, because I didn't watch any trailers for this. I just saw the first poster. I'm like, you know what, I want to go in blind. But I really like the designs, and it kind of goes into how much I overall like the aesthetic of the series. And I think they've done a good job of setting up an interesting world that I'm interested to learn about in regards to how this all works and how the series story evolves with our main character and like his brother and what his whole deal is. I just hope that it holds my attention. You know, I feel that in the last 3 series in particular, I've had a lot of problem being invested because it dips into filler. I feel like because of my thoughts on Gojuju and other series, it seems like I have a big problem with filler. It depends on the series. For me, a good filler is either one that it doesn't necessarily contribute to the main plot, but maybe it contributes to the characters. Maybe we learn about the backstory of a character. Maybe a character grows. Maybe we see new bonds forming. Or it's just a flat-out entertaining one. And I feel like with some of the last series, they just kind of missed the mark for me. Like Atmon felt very fillery for me. It felt kind of similar to Gojuju, where whenever we started something interesting, we wrapped it up real quick and went back to the status quo. Same thing with Ghost Game. You know, I did watch 1 or 2 episodes to sort of get my bearings for when I start the rewatch, and they were fine, but that's kind of why I fell off on it, is there's little crumbs here and there, but it's much more episodic than some of my more favorite Digimon series, and part of that might be rose-colored glasses, but I rewatched Adventure 1 and 2 a couple years ago, and those were pretty good at keeping the pacing, and even the filler episodes were adding to something. They weren't always valuable, but it felt like there was a better, more serialized pace, so it's kind of jarring to have these series that are very case of the week. You know, even Adventure 2020 was very strange. Like, the first half was like breakneck pace, almost no filler, and then they did this weird gap of filler at the end where they were doing episodes that should have been at the beginning of the series, which the purpose was to sort of flesh out the digital world for why they would care about it, which is good, but the 2 bad things about that is it felt disjointed with the pacing, and also the episodes were about the filler character, and that's my thing too, is when we have a filler episode, I prefer, even if we have like a side character we're focusing on or introducing, to have something with our main characters, because I don't care about this nobody that's being introduced, and those episodes in Adventure had a very similar flavor to some 90s Sentai where we're focusing on the filler character. I'm like, I don't give a fork about you, bro. But anyway, I just hope it can hold my attention. Like, the first 2 episodes were really good. I really liked it a lot. It's got a really great style, really intriguing story, really intriguing world, and it's kind of got more of a mature feel to it, which I really like too. Not in a like, this is for adults way, but just I kind of like the difference in vibe. So, I mean, this is set up for classic case of the week stuff, but I hope it just keeps my attention more where it's a little bit more of a mix of serialized and episodic. But that is just it for my thoughts. If this does well, maybe I'll check in for a few more if there's big news or something about it, or a big moment that I want to talk about. But otherwise, I'll check back in for the series review. But hopefully sometime within the next 6 months to a year, look forward to a Ghost Game review and a Digimon series ranking. But leave your thoughts on a data break down below. Till next time, Dawson Ryder, signing out.